Ole Miss. Rebels dropped 3 this weekend to Alabama in Oxford. And, Coach, obviously a disappointing weekend kind of all the way around when you lose 3 games. After a day to kind of digest the weekend and think back on the way things played out, what's your takeaway over the last 3 ball games for your team?
Well, we just got to play better, and we have, and it's in us. But we just hit a spell here that, all last week, even down in Pearl against Southern Miss on a Tuesday night. We don't play well enough to win. And, Richard, I've said it, since I've been here, one of the great things about the Southeastern Conference and why I think most of the coaches would say it's the number 1 baseball conference is because 1 through 14, everybody's good and everybody can beat anybody on a given day. That's the good part. The bad part is if you don't play well in our league, you lose. And we just didn't play well enough to win the baseball game. And when you can sit there and try to dissect all 3 games, but at the end of the day, we just didn't do enough on all 3 phases: pitching and hitting, and obviously defense.
It's interesting you say that about no weekends off because it's been like that for a long time. But even in knowing that, it was like there might be 1 or 2 teams where you look at it and you go, okay, this is a weekend where you can go in. This year in particular, when you look 1 through 14, obviously Tennessee has separated itself, but Missouri at only 3 wins. I mean, they're more competitive than they've been in a long time. This year, maybe that's even magnified.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago in this league, and when I say a long time ago, I'm saying 20-plus years. Don't circle weekends on the schedule, or don't try to decipher and say, hey, we play this team and that's good, or we don't play this team. At the end of the day, you got to play well in our league. It's a very unforgiving league, and we played an Alabama team that's playing really well. And we didn't play very well. And so, that's, we end up on the wrong side of the scoreboard.
Mike, is there anything you can point to through 4 weeks? I mean, you've got 2 road series wins against good teams. I mean, Auburn has been a good team, and Kentucky at times has looked really good this year, and yet you've lost all 6 games that you've played at home. Is there anything different home versus road right now?
No, I don't think so. I think it has more to do with us just the way we've played the game, and I know it's sometimes hard for people to understand it. In those games against Auburn and those games against Kentucky, we played better. We pitched it. Both of those series we had a bad pitching game, but the other 4 games, on those 2 weekends, we pitched it really well. I think at Kentucky on Friday night and on Sunday, I think we only gave up 1 run each day, and this similar. At Auburn to open up the weekend or the SEC as you mentioned, and so we played better, and we've got to make sure that we get back to doing that, and be careful because when you get into these modes sometimes in our game it's tough. You lose some confidence. You remember what happened yesterday, and that's unfortunate, but you don't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, and so we've played 8 weeks of baseball. We've only lost 2 weekends. We've won 6 weekends. We've lost 2. So it stinks that 2 of them have been in conference and 2 of them have been by sweeps. But we've beaten some good teams and we've played really well. We got to just get back to doing that.
So I've known you for a long time now and have worked with you since your very first year at Ole Miss. And I remember sitting in a radio booth on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night in 2002, 2004, early in your tenure when you were still a young head coach. And if there was a game where you didn't feel like your team played well, if you sat around the stadium long enough, you would see them come back out of the locker room in tennis shoes and they would start running. Obviously, what you can do with teams has changed through the years, but that was like a way for maybe you to get their attention. How do you get a team's attention now when you don't feel like
it's a great question, and and it's not just because I've gotten older. The rules have changed to where you can't do that anymore, right? And you can't run them or have physical punishment for anything. You can't even for missing class. You can't run kids, and so the rules have changed, and I understand because there's been some real tragedies over the last couple decades, and Lord knows that's not the purpose of when coaches do things like that. It's really to wake them up. So I think like today we had a pitchers meeting and we talked and we showed them some things we that don't do really well and some things that we've done well. And I think, that's part of our job as coaches is be able to grab their attention, and then continue to coach them. I think it's easy as coaches to get frustrated too when you don't play well, but that's our job. Our job is to coach them, to get their attention and get them to play better. And, one of the things we challenged them this weekend is we got to make more plays in the field, and we did. We showed them plays that we have to make, and then all of a sudden you look up, T.J. McCants makes a play against the fence. You watch, Kevin Graham make a sliding catch, Calvin Harris make a diving catch. We started to make some more plays, and that's what we need to do. The thing is, we got to turn this around, and we get it, but we also got to make sure that we understand that we do have a good team. This isn't a team that's never not done it before. This is a team that's had success. We just got to get back to doing that.
What about in terms of approach at the plate? You score 17 runs on the weekend, and you have 9 home runs, and there were some multi-run home runs mixed in there as well. So beyond just the long ball in terms of putting runs on the scoreboard, how do you get to a point where you're kind of, I hate to use the term small ball, that's not the way to describe it, but you're walking or you're getting hit by pitch or you're getting singles and then you're moving guys around and kind of manufacturing runs as opposed to just hitting it over the fence?
Well, one, you got to make sure that you don't stop doing what you do well, and that's one of the things we do well is we can hit the ball out of the ballpark. But I think what you're really getting at, Richard, that what we did at the beginning of the year, when I say the beginning of the year, we did it at Kentucky, we did it, at Auburn. We got to have some tougher at bats, and so our approach isn't to get up and hit home runs. Our approach is to get our best swing off, to put ourselves in the best position, to put ourselves in good counts, and make sure that we get our best swings off and let the balls go, right? To not chase balls out of the zone, put some pressure on the other team and walk. That's one of the things that we haven't been able to do. We didn't do it against Tennessee. We didn't do it this past weekend very much. We did it Saturday. But when our offense is clicking is when we are walking. When we're tough, against the opponents, we're getting some good swings off, and we just happen to not be able to be consistent throughout the lineup. And some of that is some guys that have cooled off, but some of it also is we got to be tougher at the plate, and we didn't do that well this weekend.
So, and this may be redundant, but if you're looking for a button to push, because you said a second ago, these are guys that have had success. You've seen that they're good hitters and are capable of coming up in big moments. What's the button that you try to push to kind of spark guys?
Well, yeah, everybody's looking for that button, but the button is really to look at your at-bats, and can we have tougher at-bats? There's at-bats where we take pitches that we should be swinging at early in the count. There's at-bats that, we're not as competitive with 2 strikes, so our strikeout numbers have gone up, our hit numbers have gone down, our walk numbers have gone down, and those are because, some of the times, the approach that people want to throw out there, that's the in vogue phrase, but what is the approach? If the approach is to take the guy's fastball away, when he throws the fastball in the strike zone, we haven't done that. Or to, be able to handle his breaking ball with 2 strikes, we haven't been able to do that. Or, to be able to stay back and hit the ball the other way. Whatever that particular pitcher is that we're facing at the time, we haven't done that collectively as a group, and again, it's getting back to having some tougher at-bats.
One guy I want to ask you about, and we'll wrap it up here, kind of a bright spot on the weekend and really this season, Josh Mallett, who at times struggled a year ago as a freshman. He comes into the game on Friday and gives you 4 2/3, doesn't allow a run. What step has he taken forward on the mound?
Well, one of the things is, proud of Josh. He missed the first, I don't know how many weeks of the season because he had mono. So he kind of got off to a slow start. It was hard to get him back, out on the field, and because when he had mono, he wasn't allowed to throw bullpens. He wasn't allowed to do a lot of different things. But one of the biggest things is the velocity has ticked up a notch or two. So got on Friday, he was 91 to 93 for 75, 85 pitches, but the slider's really improved. And I think he's really committed to the 2-seam fastball, being able to run that ball into right-handers, a good slider, and a really, at times, a devastating changeup. So just a really good 3-pitch mix.
Murray State tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Who are you going to go with on the mound? Do you know yet?
Yeah, Drew McDaniel.
So Drew McDaniel starts tomorrow, and then a 3-game series that starts on Thursday at South Carolina. Mike, always appreciate your time on these Monday interviews.